Now, the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, UNCTAD, today held its global launch of the Economic Development in Africa report for the year 2013. The report is subtitled Intra-Africa Trade, Unlocking Private Sector Dynamism. It focuses on how to strengthen the private sector to boost intra-Africa trade. Joining us now to unpack the key observations about regional integration is Patrick Osakwe. He's the chief within UNCTAD's Africa section. Patrick, thank you so much for making the time to join us. What has the report identified as the key opportunities for cross-border trade?
Well, just before I get into responding to that question, I would like to just provide some context to this report.
Right.
We decided to focus on this report for two reasons. One, economic, the other political. At the economic level, we decided to focus on the report because we feel that intra-African trade presents significant opportunities for sustained growth and economic development.
Right.
It can help African countries create employment. It can help them to reduce vulnerabilities to global shocks. It can also help them to promote economic diversification, which is something that Africa so badly needs.
Right.
Now, at the political level, you will recall that in January 2012, African heads of states made a decision to they basically renew their political commitment to promoting regional trade and to fast-track the establishment of a continental free trade area. In fact, their objective is to have that by 2017. Now, this is not the first time that they've made such political commitment. Of course,
we've heard a lot of political rhetoric and statements about regional integration, but the pace has always lagged behind the implementation.
Exactly. And so that's what makes this report interesting. In this report, we're basically trying to flesh out what African governments need to do this time around so that they can achieve this objective of promoting a regional trade. And we do talk about, several things that they could do. In particular, we do, one of the key messages of the report is that they have to change their approach to regional trade and regional integration.
Right.
In particular, they have to move away from an approach that is focused so much on processes. They tend to focus too much on the elimination of barriers. Now, barriers are important, but they're not the most binding constraints to promoting intra-African
And this
trade.
is a combination, I understand, of both non-tariff barriers as well as tariff barriers that you're saying that there's just too much emphasis on that.
That's right. But they don't pay as much attention to issues of building productive capacities, lifting binding constraints to promoting intra-African trade. For example, issues of poor infrastructure, for example, issues of lack of good access to credit, and also the fact that credit is not affordable. You can imagine that in some countries, the rate at which firms can borrow is as high as 20%. How can a firm, survive under such conditions? And so what we're saying in this report is that they have to start addressing directly some of these key obstacles to promoting intra-African trade. And it's only when they do that that they're going to start seeing results. If
we were to take the sober number of 10%, which is currently the number reflects intra-Africa trade of all the trade that happens from the continent, realistically speaking, what should we be aiming for as an improvement on this 10% and by when?
Well, we believe that if they do what we have recommended in the report, there is a possibility that they're going to see perhaps a 2- or 3-fold increase in the level of intra-African trade over the next 10 years. And that's doable because, as I said earlier, there are significant opportunities for intra-African trade that is currently not being exploited. You see it in agriculture, you see it in manufacturing. But in agriculture, it's much more easier to articulate because we have about 27% of the global arable land. Yet we have problems of food insecurity. We import a lot of food from other parts of the world, things that we can produce here. If you take a country like Algeria, for example, it imports about 7 billion in terms of food.
Sure.
Quite
a staggering number.
Yeah, the average, over 2007 to 2011 was about 7 billion. In Egypt, about 5 billion. In Nigeria, about 4 billion. So imagine that all these trade takes place within the continent. That's going to increase intra-African trade tremendously. And so what we're saying in the report is that they should, focus on some of these quick wins.
Yeah.
There are things that they can do right now and, and achieve positive results.